So I'm Rajiv Mukherjee. I'm at the Mays Business School at Texas A&M University, and my research focuses on platform economics, AI ecosystems, and pricing strategies. So consider a scenario where you're looking for an airline ticket. Okay, so you see a good price, but you procrastinate a little bit, and you think you'll come back and get the ticket later. But when you come back to get that ticket, you see that the price has changed. It may have gone up, or it may have gone down if you're lucky, right? So this idea is known as dynamic pricing. And we have all seen this. We all know that an early bird price is cheaper than a late ticket, right? So we're all used to it. But what has really changed is the idea where the price is dependent on your personal data. And that is known as surveillance pricing. Now, imagine a scenario where you and your friend are looking to plan a vacation. So both of you are searching for a ticket pretty much at the same time, perhaps from different location, perhaps using different devices. But you see vastly different prices. Now, it could be because the firm is using surveillance pricing. They are figuring out that your willingness to pay for the product is different from your friend's willingness to pay, and they are trying to extract that amount by charging one higher than the other. Now, it is obvious that people are going to be a little more uncomfortable with the second kind of pricing strategy, the surveillance pricing strategy, because we don't really know why we are seeing different prices. And with the advent of AI, it is very easy to track microsignals of these consumers across websites through their clickstream data. And you can actually figure out what is the willingness to pay for a consumer based on all this data analytics. What becomes harder is even for the firms to explain why certain prices were finally realized. Because the AI runs these things on a very large scale, and there are many, many microsignals in play. It could be your location, your device, your operating system, your screen size, your history of interaction with the website, and even what other websites you visited once you left this website. That is known as a cross-website tracking, which is enabled by something called third-party cookies. So what can a consumer do? Well, in a recent allegation against JetBlue, they found that, it was alleged that JetBlue was using surveillance pricing. And that became a big controversy, and what added fuel to the fire was a leak on X. There was a tweet between a disgruntled consumer and a JetBlue agent, where the consumer basically said that, why am I seeing vastly different prices? And the JetBlue agent suggested using, deleting the cookies essentially, or using incognito mode. Now, you may think that that solves the problem, but it doesn't. What happens is that can temporarily, set back the history a little bit, but the firm is collecting a lot of data on you through your different price tracking abilities. And let me clarify that it is alleged against JetBlue. Nothing has been proven, so it's still in court. And JetBlue denies this allegation. Now, this is actually problematic because for a consumer, when you're seeing these different things, it's very hard to understand, is it really dynamic pricing, which is based on demand and supply and inventory, or is it really targeting you and your data? Now, firms, in the future, they may think that, hey, maybe we can pull this stunt because there are no strong regulations around it. So with consumers not having much of an ability to really defend against this, besides doing the incognito mode or besides deleting your cookies temporarily, what is going to happen is that regulators have to step in, and they have to start thinking about three pillars: trust, transparency, and fairness. Now, it is very important to earn the consumer trust, especially in today's era, where you can easily move to another platform or another app very easily. That is called multi-homing, where you can use multiple things together. So therefore, firms should not take this lightly, and regulators should step in and create some laws around this so that, it's not that whether, they're using surveillance pricing or not. Maybe they are. And what we need to know as consumers is what kind of information is used to show us the price. So that transparency is very important for firms to succeed. So imagine that you have a very low charge on your battery and you're running out of charge, and you need to book a ticket really quick. Now, this is a sympathetic situation in general, but a firm that wants to use this information knowingly or unknowingly, because the AI may have just figured out this pattern from the past data, may realize that you are a last-minute ticket booker and therefore might want to extract more money out of you compared to somebody else who has a larger horizon in front of them for the same ticket. So this is controversial because this is not fair. And the firm wasn't transparent about this upfront. The firm didn't tell you that they're going to use this kind of information about you to show you different prices compared to somebody else. To start with, they should make it very transparent in terms of how they're tracking, what they're tracking, and how does the price depend on these tracked features. So that is very important. The problem that most firms are facing today because of the use of machine learning and AI-based algorithmic pricing, it is very hard for them to explain or articulate exactly what features play what kind of a role in the final price. So that is the biggest problem. So I think at best what they can do is they can tell people that these are the kinds of features that we are tracking. Now, this is connected to the use of browser as well. And I think I should make a note here that a lot of browsers like Safari, Firefox, Mozilla, they have already banned third-party cookies. In other words, if you're using these browsers, you have limited the amount of information they can collect on you. It's basically the clickstream data with the website itself. But in a browser like Chrome, that is not true. Chrome has been pushing the third-party cookie ban for a while and now have clearly said that they are not going to ban the third-party cookies or deprecate them at all. So that's what surveillance pricing is, and there has been a shift from this whole notion of dynamic pricing, but the temporal change, to a surveillance pricing where people are seeing different prices, even if they're buying the same ticket at the same time. So that is obviously a little controversial because we are not used to see different treatment of people, and we might feel that it's discriminatory. We might also start imagining what kind of data they might have used to come to that conclusion. So that adds to the whole notion of fear around discriminatory pricing. The other factor could be like how much different is the price? In some articles, I've seen that the price difference can be as high as 20 to 25%. That's a big difference, especially in times when we are all trying to make the best use of our budget for travel plans and so on. Right? Come summer, I'm pretty sure lots of families are looking at ticket prices, hotel prices, and this becomes a very important factor. So when you see a website or a company treating people differently, people lose trust. And that is the biggest factor that's going to make a company successful in the future: trust, transparency, and fairness.